Welcome everybody to the second Hamilton Buddhist Temple online service. Today we celebrate JSBTC Day and the October Shotsuki Memorial Service. Please note that our today's service is being recorded. This allows people who are unable to attend today to watch later. Only the service portion itself is recorded. We are pleased to have Jeff Wilson Sensei from the Toronto Buddhist Church presiding. My name is Marlene Fraser. I am your Master of Ceremonies. The month of October is important in Canada as it marks the historical beginnings of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism in Canada. The first Jodo Shinshu minister arrived from Nishi Honganji, our mother temple in Kyoto, Japan, in Vancouver on October 12, 1905. In 1948, the Hamilton Bukyokai bought a family house on 44 Strachan Street East. This house became the first Hamilton Buddhist church. In Canada, JSBTC Day allows us to express our gratitude to the pioneers and past members who were active in the propagation of Buddhism. The Hamilton Buddhist Temple would like to express our deep appreciation to the JSBTC Board of Directors, ministers, assistant ministers, temple boards, members, and other attendees for keeping our temples active and accessible during this extremely challenging time. Now we're going to do mokuso, a quiet meditation. We'll begin the meditation by me ringing the bell, and then I will ring the bell to end the meditation. Please repeat after me. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, namanda, namanda. We will now recite the Shin Buddhist life principles, if you can follow along. Entrusting in the vow of the Buddha, calling out the Buddha's name, I will pass through the journey of life with strength and joy, revering the light of the Buddha, reflecting upon my imperfect self. I will strive to live a life of gratitude. Following the teachings of the Buddha, discerning the right path, I will share the true Dharma with all, rejoicing in the compassion of the Buddha, respecting and aiding all sentient beings. I will work towards the welfare of society and the world. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
And now the Junidai. Keishu Tennin Shokugyo Amida Sendro Zokuso Zaihi Mi Me Andako Muryo Bushi Shuinyu Konjiki Shinjo Nyosen no Shamata Gyo Nyozobu Domokujo Nyakusho Denge Koga Chodai Midaso Menzen Enjo Nyomangat Iko Yunyo Sendichigat Shonyo Tenku Kushida Koga Chodai Mirason Kanon Chodai Kanchiju Shuju Meso Hoshogon Nobukugedo Makeman Koga Chodai Midason Mubi 習得経験予告小さり約得自在子が将来未来尊自法名門菩薩衆無量小魔上三段一生修上願力中子が将来未来尊根体保険地所系前言症状名大座おひざ上如せの子が将来未来尊自法将来勝負し権限人図し安楽戦後尊厳直行子が将来未来尊小無常無我と薬如水眼伝よろ一種説法無名字子が将来未来尊非尊不戦無惑名薬無如に悪道不主任死心拒否尊子が将来未来尊依存無料法勉強無少種悪知識往生不退死菩提子が将来未来尊合戦非尊苦毒寺修善無変如海水小逆前言小乗者衛生修上お小非公ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマン Namandavu. 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 Kanishikudoku Yodo se isai Dohon bodai shi Ojo Anako. Namanda, 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 Namanda. And now the English recitation of Junidai. Devas and people bow to the ground in reverence before Amida, the sage, the noble one. In that marvelous land of peace and bliss, countless bodhisattvas surround him. His golden form shines forth pure, like the king of Mount Sumeru. His practice of truth is steadfast, like an elephant's pace. His eyes radiate like pure blue lotus blossoms. Thus I bow to the ground before Amida, the noble one. His face is pure and perfectly shaped like the full moon. His majestic light shines like 1,000 suns and moons. His voice is like a heavenly drum or like a heavenly bird. Thus I bow to the ground before Amida, the noble one. Bodhisattva Kannon wears upon his crown the image of Amida adorned with many precious jewels. To subdue non-Buddhist views and the arrogance of Maras, thus I bow to the ground before Amida, the noble one. His virtues are incomparable, vast, and pure, clearly extending like vast open space. His acts freely benefit all beings. Thus I bow to the ground before Amida, the noble one. Bodhisattvas renowned throughout the 10 quarters, and even countless Maras always venerate him. The power of Amida's vow is for the benefit of all beings. Thus I bow to the ground before Amida, the noble one. Lotus flowers bloom in the golden treasure pond. Meritorious acts establish a wondrous throne, and upon it sits Amida, like the king of Mount Sumeru. Thus I bow to the ground before Amida, the noble one. From the 10 quarters, bodhisattvas come. Revealing wondrous powers, they realize bliss and peace and bliss. Honoring his face, they offer eternal homage. Thus I bow to the ground before Amida, the noble one. All things are impermanent and without self, like the moon on water, lightning, shadow, or dew. Multitudes benefit from the Dharma that is beyond words. Thus I bow to the ground before Amida, the noble one. In the Buddha's temple, there are no evil names, nor is there discrimination or fearful evil paths. Every person having a sincere mind reveres the Buddha. Thus I bow to the ground before Amida, the noble one. The Buddha's countless skillful means put an end to the renewed existence and to evil understandings. To be born is to attain non-retrogression toward Buddhahood. Thus I bow to the ground before Amida, the noble one. Thus have I praised the virtues of Amida. His meritorious acts are as boundless as the waters of the sea. Upon receiving these pure and good qualities, may all beings be born into his land. Thank you, everyone. So we're now going to have our Dharma talk. As Marlene introduced at the beginning, today is JSBTC Day, or Jodo Shinshu, Buddhist Temples of Canada Day. This is seriously probably the longest name of any holiday ever invented by humankind. Oh my goodness. So given that we have such a long and glorious name, I thought maybe we could reflect on that a little bit here this morning. It started out, I guess the story begins with the Buddhist Mission of North America, founded in San Francisco in 1899. It covered both Canada and the continental US at that time, though of course was really that's pretty aspirational. It's mostly confined to San Francisco. The start of institutional Buddhism in Canada really began in 1905, as was mentioned in the opening remarks when the Vancouver temple was officially opened. And we continued under the auspices of the Buddhist Mission of North America for decades, actually. In 1932, the Canadian temples achieved a measure of sort of organizational self-direction, but even that sort of semi-autonomous state, that collapsed in the turmoil of World War II, when the Japanese North American population was put into the internment camps, and the organizations were disrupted, the temples were closed, and everything sort of fell apart at that time and had to start over. Also during that time, in 1944, the Buddhist Mission of North America reorganized in the camps and called itself the Buddhist Churches of America. So that became the new name of that organization. Even after the war ended, it took another 10 years before the Canadian temples were able to recover sufficiently in order to stand on our own. So in 1955, finally, there was a big meeting in Toronto, and people started putting the pieces in place. And by the end of the year, the Buddhist Churches of Canada had officially come into existence as a wholly separate, autonomous organization. So depending on where you look at it, certainly our history goes back to at least 1905, and then the specific organization that we're honoring here, its sort of official history begins in 1955, with of course another 50 years of previous organizing going on. So what's with this name, the previous name, Buddhist Churches of Canada, right? It's much shorter than the current one. And why did they choose this at that time? Well, I think if we think about it, the Buddhist Churches of Canada, this is a very expansive name, right? This is big. Like this, like all the Buddhism of Canada is gathered under that name there. And that might seem a little presumptuous, but actually it was entirely appropriate at the time. So in 1955, we were more or less the whole of Buddhism in Canada, certainly in terms of 50 years of institutional presence and of organization, and several generations of people had already practiced and spread the Dharma. And there really just wasn't the sort of flourishing of various sorts of Buddhism that we see in Canada today. Really, Jodo Shinshu was the only real story. So that meant that by taking on this name, the Buddhist Churches of Canada, we really had to carry the entire weight of Buddhist representation for Canada to the non-Buddhist majority. And so the Buddhist Churches of Canada, they really played two different roles. Internally, they're very important in helping being organizing places for the temples, and being a para-temple sort of organization whereby Jodo Shinshu Buddhists could support one another and practice in a non-Buddhist environment, which had historically been hostile to non-Christian religions and to non-European peoples. So the Buddhist Church of Canada was very important internally for the community. And at the same time, with that title, Buddhist Churches of Canada, it meant that we also had to carry the weight of Buddhist representation out to all the rest of Canada beyond the temple doors, and represent Buddhism, show what Buddhism was and what it could be and what its value was. So I'll give you an example of this sort of weight that had to be carried. In 1967, we had all the centennial celebrations, Canadian centennial celebrations. These are a really pivotal moment in post-war Canadian development. It wasn't just like a big party and all that sort of stuff, right? These were very public acts which were being used to sort of manufacture a new forward-looking Canadian identity. In fact, Lester Pearson and his allies were using these centennial celebrations as a way to transform Canada into a more multicultural identity, something that then a few years later, Pierre Trudeau would then declare as official policy. But Pearson was already putting all the pieces in place at this time. And so actually, Pearson invited Reverend Newton Ishihara of the Toronto Temple, which is where the Buddhist Churches of Canada was based at that time. It only more recently moved to the West Coast. So he was invited to participate in interfaith services, organizing and providing these services. They were very public. They were very much in the public eye and representing back to Canada and to Canadians what Canada could be or should be or was in this way, that it was a nation for everyone, not just for white English-speaking people, right? Or maybe French as well, but was really trying to struggle towards a type of inclusive multiculturalism. And so having him represent all of the Buddhists was a way of trying to be inclusive in the 1960s. In fact, he was the only Buddhist of the among the 33 different religious groups that were organizing and performing those big public interfaith services. So again, he had all of Buddhism was on his shoulders. The Buddhist Churches of Canada had to be the face of all Buddhists. So he had to organize these things. He even had to meet he met with Queen Elizabeth on behalf of Canadian Buddhists. You know, that's a pretty fraught moment, right? You're meeting the Queen, and like, if everything goes well, then hey, you know, Buddhism is Canadian. And if you mess up, and frankly, I would be so nervous. I don't even know what I would do if I were meeting the Queen with all this like big responsibility on my shoulders. I'm sure I would just put my foot right in my mouth somehow, right? So if you mess it up, then it looks bad for all Buddhists in Canada. So this is really, you know, a tremendous sort of weight of responsibility that was carried by these Buddhist churches of Canada. A responsibility not only of taking care of our communities here, but also representing all of Buddhism for Canada. So, you know, it's a weight that was really carried for a long time. Now, in 2008, we did change the name finally from the Buddhist Churches of Canada to the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist Temples of Canada. And I'm making a little fun of that long name, but it's actually quite an excellent name there, right? You know, what's going on? Why did we make this change? Why do we change from that simple little Buddhist Churches of Canada to the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist Temples of Canada in this way, right? Well, among other things, it really reflects the enormous change in Canadian society since the 1950s to the 21st century, right? Made the change in 2008. It's already been 12 years, my goodness. Okay, so, because I remember all the debates around this at the time. So, you know, what's going on? Like Canada has, you know, it's not as if there weren't various sorts of people in Canadian society from the very beginning and at all points. But at the same time, there really was a overwhelmingly dominant majority, you know, back in the mid 20th century, and a truly multicultural experience and understanding of Canada was mostly aspirational at that time. And through our work of representing Buddhism well through those acts of participating in sort of civic society and everything, we helped to transform Canada into genuinely being the very diverse, very religiously diverse and culturally diverse place that it is today, right? Those acts of positive representation, among other things, they helped to they helped to change some of the racist laws that have been in place for a long time that now allowed for more Asian immigration and therefore more and new Buddhist populations to come to Canada because we had represented ourselves so well in public in those several decades. So that brought many new Buddhists here, and not only once they didn't just land here, but many of the temples were often helpful in providing a leg up for those new immigrant populations. Different temples provided space for them to hold their own Buddhist services according to their own cultural style. There was lots of help from within the Jodo Shinshu temples and helping other Buddhist populations sort of learn the ropes of how to navigate Canadian society and so on. And we remain involved with some of those and inter-Buddhist celebrations, such as we do in Toronto every year for the Vesak and other situations. So we helped to kind of move the needle on this towards a more multicultural and more diversely Buddhist Canada, such that at this point, Buddhist churches of Canada wasn't as relevant anymore. We needed to actually say, well, which type of Buddhists are we in Canada? So we had to say, oh, we're not just the Buddhist churches of Canada. We are specifically the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist temples of Canada. So that's actually a type of victory, to be able to reclaim our own name and our own tradition, to say more clearly that we are the Jodo Shinshu temples, because we didn't have to be just the generic Buddhists of all Buddhists, but could actually more clearly state that we are the ones who practice Jodo Shinshu Buddhism and who follow the tradition of Shinran Shonin. So I think that's a kind of an excellent development that many temples, many people contributed to over time. Now, I suppose this is less a Dharma talk and more of a history lesson. Sorry, you're always at slight risk of getting this occasionally when you do invite, the historian to come and give the Dharma talk. I usually try to keep it on good Dharma, but this is a historical day, right? Jodo Shinshu JSBTC day is more about the historical institution than is about some traditional 800-year-old Japanese religious observation like Higan or Honko or something like that. So what can I say? I turned into a history textbook this time. My apologies for that, but it is really quite a good story from my point of view as a historian. It's a story of success of 115 years worth of successful cultivation of the Dharma within the communities and successful transformation of Canadian society to create a better place for the Dharma and for Dharma practitioners. So I think there's a lot to be proud of there, especially for not a large organization to have had some genuine positive effects. It's a wonderful thing. So we can be proud every October when we remember JSBTC Day. And I'm also grateful I finally learned to be able to say that without stumbling. It wasn't as easy during the first year or two. All right, so that's my quote unquote Dharma talk or history lesson for today. Thank you for your patience, and I'll bring a more spiritual message next time, I promise.
I am a link in Amita's Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. May I be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. May I think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amita's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Okay, now we're on to announcements. On behalf of the Hamilton Buddhist Temple, we would like to thank Sensei Wilson for today's Dharma talk, the Toronto Buddhist Church for supporting our temple and for providing us with Wilson Sensei. He will lead our service next month. Oke Socho, Jodo Shinshu Buddhist Temples of Canada, and ministers for organizing the joint online Obon service. We are grateful for the support from the JSBTC National Board and the ministers and temples across Canada. We recognize the loss of funds due to the temples being closed due to the pandemic. We will strive to support them. Our next service will be online on Sunday, November 8th at 11. This brings the formal portion of our service to a close. Please put your hands together in Gasho and repeat after me. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you.